Well, why did people draw these conclusions? Because they had lived through a recession that was not allowed to clear out, so they drew the wrong Alan Greenspan-fueled conclusion from this, that housing is where we should be. And so instead of clearing this out, Alan Greenspan encouraged people to go on even crazier spending and building, house building binge. So in other words, by trying to hold off the recession, he made the eventual one all the worse. By trying to ease the pain of the home builder now, by just liquoring him up, well, all you're doing is making him continue something that has to fail anyway, but except this time, he's wasted all those additional resources in doing it. Now, there are some people who will try to claim that, well, you know, the housing boom that we observed here, because most of the money that the Fed created out of thin air was channeled into the mortgage market and contributed to this ridiculous bubble in housing prices. Some people say these bubbles, in whether it's housing prices or tech stocks, these bubbles occur for psychological reasons. People just become maniacally attached to a particular kind of investment. And that's what happened here. People were just crazy for houses. And that explains it. Well, it is true that psychology can account for where the bubble occurs, where you get these artificially built up prices. But let's say there were no Fed. There's no Alan Greenspan, no Wizard of Oz. Let's say that we just have a normal free market economy. And let's say a lot of us just decided, hey, let's all buy 3 houses, everybody. Let's just say we all went on this crazy binge. The free market would have stopped that because the banks would have run out of money to lend to us. So interest rates would have shot up. And we would have said, oh, maybe on second thought, I don't want to do this. And we wouldn't have had 1 million people running in to speculate in houses or flipping houses or buying 10 houses at once. Because the interest rate would have been so high, no one would have been able to do it. But that would have been the economy's way of saying, you're building too much. There isn't enough demand for these things. Go do another kind of project. But when you have Alan Greenspan, and he can create money out of thin air, well, he pumps it into the banking system, and it seems like, hey, we've got plenty to lend. Let's keep this illusion going. So without the Fed, this could not have happened. So don't blame HGTV for pumping up the housing bubble. Even though their shows did encourage people to do dumb things, because you watch on TV, and everybody you see on TV is saying, well, you know, we almost took that $700,000 house, but then we thought, where's the gazebo? I mean, like, we say to yourself, what is happening to these people? Or you watch, you know, Flip This House. You know, hey, I bought a house for 20 grand. I spent 3 weeks on it. Now it's 120. I mean, this is worse than those people at 3:30 in the morning telling you, send in $39.95 and I'll show you how to make it in real estate. You know this is a whole lot of big old scam. You know, these things, you know, 3:30 in the morning, you know they're all scam. But this was, I mean, people actually did succeed in this. You could actually observe people doing it, so it was all the worse. This was actually worse than one of those 3:30 in the morning things, because most normal people know those are all phony. But some people got sucked into this, and now they're ruined. They're absolutely ruined, people. And in fact, people, because the Fed pumped up the price of housing, because they pumped in all this money, and all the money went to building houses, and so that increased their prices, consumers did things they wouldn't otherwise have done. They bought houses they couldn't afford, but then they were told, don't worry if you can't afford it. All the experts, the Fed's own economists told them, the price is going to keep going up. So eventually you will be able to afford it. Because eventually there'll be so much equity in your house, you know, it'll be easy for you to make the payments. You can borrow against your house, you can buy fancy cars and go on fancy vacations. That's what people were in effect encouraged to do. And that's what they did, and now they're ruined. Now they're in debt far higher than they can possibly repay. Now, one other thing about the Fed, before moving on, a lot of people say that one of the contributing factors to this downturn was that lending standards went so low. You know, as I said before, you don't have to have a job, you can lie about your job, you don't have to make a down payment, you get adjustable rate mortgages, all this stuff. And that is true. That did play a role, because it did encourage more borrowing than could be sustained in the economy. That is true. But we need to remember that even though the federal government did do those things and did encourage lending standards to go down, the very existence of the Fed encourages lending standards to go down. Because consider this. When the Fed increases the money supply and puts money into the banking system, now the banks have more to lend with. The incentive structure that exists in our system is that the banks want to lend everything they can legally lend. So when the banks get more money from the Fed to lend, where are they going to lend that money? Who's going to get that money? Well, it's going to have to be people they would previously have rejected. So think of the analogy that I'm a basketball coach, and suddenly I get told, 10 minutes after I picked my players, I get told, hey, by the way, you're allowed to pick 2 more players. Where am I going to get those 2 extra players? From the pool of people I previously rejected. So inevitably, the newer players I get are going to be crummier than the existing players I have. Well, likewise, the newer loans the banks are going to make with the money pumped in by Alan Greenspan or Ben Bernanke are going to be lower quality loans than the previous ones for the same reason. So the Fed's own action causes that problem. Now, while all this is going on, we have going through our economy something called the Greenspan put, which financial experts took to mean that Alan Greenspan will intervene at some point to save you if you're a big Wall Street firm, if your investments should go sour. And so major newspapers were warning, like the Financial Times, for example, was warning that this so-called, now Greenspan never actually officially told people, this is my policy, I'll bail all of you out, but everyone just watched him doing it. They watched him bailing out like long-term capital management in 1998, for example, in other cases. And they drew the conclusion that, well, if we make risky investments and they turn out okay, then we get to keep the money. If we make risky investments and they don't turn out okay, all Alan will bail us out. And this conclusion, this is the economist Anthony Mueller says this: since Alan Greenspan took office, financial markets in the U.S. have operated under a quasi-official charter which says that the Fed will protect its major actors from the risk of bankruptcy. Consequently, the reasoning emerged that when you succeed, you will earn high profits and market share, and if you should fail, the authorities will save you anyway. Well, that's not a free market. That's the opposite of the free market. The very idea that there's an implied bailout guarantee, well, who wouldn't respond to that by being riskier than they otherwise would? But yet, meanwhile, this is the free market's fault. Yeah, okay, first of all, we have Greenspan implicitly telling people that risk is cheaper than you thought, so go ahead and do it. And then we have the fact that where are they getting all the money? We keep hearing, well, all these companies were, they leveraged up. Well, yeah, where did they get all this money? Like, why was money so cheap, so freely available, like running water, growing on trees? Why was it so readily available that firms treated it so cavalierly? Could it have a little something to do with the Fed and creating all of it? We get no mention of it. Now, some people will say, but what about before there was a Fed? What are you telling me, there were no ups and downs before there was a Fed? How can you blame those on the Fed? And it's true. We did have financial panics in the 19th century before there was a Fed. So it's true, I can't blame those on the Fed. But if you look at them, if you look at the panics, the major ones, 1819, 1837, 1857, 1873, and then 1893, 1907, they pretty much have all the same causes. Yeah, there's no Federal Reserve System. But in several cases, there is a national bank established by the U.S. government that's doing kind of what the Fed does, creating a lot of money out of thin air and misleading investors into doing stupid things they wouldn't otherwise have done. And so, let me just quote for you. Here's a guy living in freaking 1837. Now, 1837, and listen to what this guy's describing. It sounds like it's written in 2009. This guy's name is William Leggett. He was an editorial writer in New York. He was a supporter of President Andrew Jackson. And listen to how he describes what the Second Bank of the United States, chartered by the U.S. government, with U.S. government monopoly privileges, what consequences this had for the economy. He says, what has been, whatever must be, the consequences of such a sudden and prodigious inflation of the currency? Business stimulated to the most unhealthy activity, a vast amount of speculation in property of every kind and name. Gee, sound familiar? At fictitious values. Sound even more familiar? Hey, I'm sitting on a $1.5 million house. It's a 3x3 outhouse in San Francisco. Why do people think that this could possibly be a real valuation of their homes? And finally, a vast and terrific crash, when the treacherous and unsustainable basis crumbles beneath the stupendous fabric of credit, and the structure falls to the ground, burying in its ruins thousands who exulted in the fancied security of their elevation. Now listen to this. Men nowadays go to bed deeming themselves rich, and wake in the morning to find themselves stripped of even the little they really had.